Part of the design of the massive state-of-the-art Connect Community Center will be all about making the building a work of art that represents what it means to live, work, and play right here in West Bloomfield Township. And who better to partner with for a beautiful work of art facing to the front of the community than the Detroit Institute of Arts, or DIA. It's all part of the DIA's Partners in Public Art Initiative, or PIPA, and may soon be larger than life on the Civic Center campus or other places across West Bloomfield Township in partnership with our Parks and Recreation organization. Here to tell us the latest is the Executive Director of West Bloomfield Parks, Kelly Hyer. Kelly, thanks for coming on the show today.
Of course, good morning.
Glad to have you on to talk about this. This is going to be a big part of some of the upcoming projects with West Bloomfield Parks, especially perhaps maybe even at that brand new Connect Community Center coming up here in a couple of years. The Partners in Public Art program, it's something that several other communities nearby, communities that West Bloomfield Parks admires and in some ways emulates with its projects, have already participated in. So from your team's perspective, why was now the time to apply and perhaps maybe join this program in partnership with the DIA?
Well, thanks, Tyler, for that great intro, first of all. And yes, the mural has been on the side of the building in all of our renderings for a good part of the past 6 months. And we would like to make sure that when people enter the Civic Center campus along the boulevard there, they are greeted with something fun and interesting to look at. And so one of the ideas came across the supervisor's desk actually this past winter was this DIA Partners in Public Art opportunity. And the Township Board did give us support to apply, as well as the West Bloomfield Parks and Recreation Commission last week. And so we are going to apply and see what happens. But I think you said it very succinctly, that who better to partner with than the experts right here in the Metro Detroit area. And they have access to a lot of resources. This program has been established since 2018, and they've learned a lot about large mural installations. And so while we still have a lot of questions and want to make sure that this is something that we would even be considered, although they have said our project does fit the initial criteria, but this is something we want to explore because, again, we want something interesting and fun and amazing when people pull into the building on this campus that they feel great about.
And so this program, not yet officially that partnership between the DIA and West Bloomfield Parks, in the initial stages, the application process, sending in the details you need to the Detroit Institute of Arts so they understand where you're coming from, and then from there can move forward on this. So let's move forward a few months down the road. Perhaps maybe this has gone to fruition and the Detroit Institute of Arts wants to partner with West Bloomfield Parks to put up a mural in our community. What are you looking for? What's your team looking for in a mural, and how do you imagine that process will take place to go from exploration to execution of that work of art being displayed in our community?
Well, at first we'll start with making sure that our campus partners get involved initially, because we would have to all agree on the expression, the color palette, the size, and of course, what is the theme going to be? But we've already discussed publicly that both Township Board and Parks Commission celebrate nature. That seems to be a common theme throughout the whole township that would likely be the perfect fit for the side of our building. Of course, we would want it to make sure that it fits the campus vibe. And so perhaps we'll have some more information to share in the next couple months. But I will say that nature is the top theme, and we would have to work together with the other local elected officials to make sure we're going in the right direction. The other fun thing is because the DIA has so much access to artists and artists with a lot of variation in style and experience, that they might even have an idea already for West Bloomfield, knowing what we stand for.
Kelly Hyer is with us on the Splash Live today, Executive Director for West Bloomfield Parks, as they are in the exploratory phase of potentially bringing the DIA's Partners in Public Art, or PIPA program, to the Civic Center complex in West Bloomfield, where it would very literally be the front-facing piece of art to the township government when you enter that campus in the future, with if that goes up at the Connect Community Center. And Kelly, this was a big topic of conversation with your board recently in discussing whether or not to approve putting forth the application. The emphasis on these artists, or this artist, whomever it may be, that designs and executes this mural, be a local artist, not some big name that's going to come in and get a big commission, but uplifting somebody local, where we have a very vibrant art community in greater West Bloomfield, in Oakland County, and in Southeast Michigan. How important of a factor is it that somebody that's on the up and coming from our community or nearby gets to spearhead this project with your organization?
Well, you're right about being lots of talent right here in this community. And the neat thing about the DIA program is they do encourage local artists to apply. So if you're hearing this newscast and you have not already associated yourself with the DIA PIPA program, you can simply go online and apply, and they'll take it from there as far as needing resumes and showcasing their portfolios. But the one thing that is, if you take a look at all the different examples, there's a wide variety of murals already installed through this program, and you can see the different talents that it is taken, because some is more very specific to the community, large bubble letters that are representative of the community's name, all the way to significant figures, faces on the wall, as well as nature scenes. I do recall there being an existing mural too that I think they're highlighting the fire department, for example. So lots of examples out there, but yes, they do love to hear from local artists, and that's why they put that link right out there to make sure that people have easy access to apply, be considered.
Yeah, that project you're referencing, Chesterfield Township Central Fire Station, one of 2025's editions of the PIPA program with the Detroit Institute of Arts. Others nearby, close to home, Lathrop Village City Hall, the Southfield Arts and Activities Building, the Trenton Village Theater, and so many more. More information on that, dia.org, as West Bloomfield Parks perhaps going to be on that list for 2026 or 2027 down the line, and could be a large piece of public art coming to our Civic Center complex. Kelly, how does your team at West Bloomfield Parks envision public art being part of not only the design and the collaborative aspects of putting up this new community center, but why is it an important element of communicating what it means to live in West Bloomfield and represent your organization at what will be a landmark building in the community?
So people can probably all relate that when you walk into a building, immediately you know if you're feeling a certain type of feeling, and we want people to feel welcome, happy. We want them to feel invigorated, inspired, because they're coming to a community center for some kind of outlet, whether it be social or physical, maybe perhaps to learn something. And art encompasses all of that. We want the spaces to be exciting and sometimes colorful, where other spaces may be a little bit more calming. And so in our building, we've already picked out a selection of materials that everything from the wallpaper to paint color to light fixtures, whether it's the shape or the style, the monolight that's being allowed through in the spaces, to the natural light. And of course, art is the other thing that we've talked about. And in some spaces in the building, we've identified where it needs to be a colorful, more wall application. In other parts of it, we want to celebrate our history. And then, of course, you get into the nature education team. And you've been in our spaces already, Tyler, so you've seen examples of where we have used art to showcase important elements that the naturalists are teaching. So maybe it was if you remember the animal exhibit that we had in the old nature room. Well, we could only have so many animals. The rest were painted on the walls to give tools to our naturalists, the teaching tools so kids can understand, or even adults, what we're talking about and the different environments and habitats that animals live in, as well as the outside. If you recall, we have an old mural at the Recreation Activity Center that has actually outlived its useful life. But that was another idea of how to make the outdoor natural play area more vibrant, more exciting, and give the naturalists, again, the teaching tools that where you wouldn't find the examples readily available in nature, and they would have this great palette to teach from. So we've already put lots of different art into places already in West Bloomfield Parks, but we're ready to take the next step, and perhaps it will be in the form of a large mural.
Well, look, there's a lot of people excited about the Connect Community Center coming in a couple of years, that massive expansion of already what are amenities available to people in Greater West Bloomfield through West Bloomfield Parks at places like the current Connect Community Center, as well as other parks around the community. This will just be another part of that project that will attract people to West Bloomfield. So Kelly, right now, as you mentioned, in the preliminary stages, your board has approved for your team to put forth that application to the Detroit Institute of Arts. They'll review that. Maybe they'll decide West Bloomfield's ready for this now. Maybe you'll have to try again in a year or in a couple of years after the building's already up. Who knows? But if that is decided that West Bloomfield Parks is going to be one of the next communities to participate in this Partners in Public Art program, what's the estimated timeline for when we might see this come to fruition at the new building?
Sure, you've heard me talk about this. So just depending on the comfort level of the commission, this could be something we put up when the building goes up, or it could be something added to down the road. So what is important to us though at this time is, if selected, making sure that we get the materials right, because one of the things that we have to commit to is maintaining the mural for 10 years. And in order to do that, we have to get the under part of where the mural would go correct. We need the right materials for them to be adding whether it be paintings directly on the surface. We have to get that right, so that way we also can plan for the protective coating to go on. So with all that said, with the building going up starting this spring, so spring of 26, and completed in fall of 27, residents could perhaps, that would be the earliest you would see it next summer. Let's say though the scenario is they want to wait a little bit, and in that scenario, that would be once the building comes live, as early as 2028, 29 maybe, because again, once the walls start to go vertical on the campus, I would imagine that is when the DIA would be ready to start talking about application.
More information on this project and other things happening with West Bloomfield Parks are available on wbparks.org. Kelly, I could talk to you about this all day, but until someone stops me, and they told me we got to move on. We got other people we got to get to on today's edition of the program. Got to say goodbye, but thank you as always for joining us and giving us the latest about the Connect Community Center and this exciting project.
Thanks for the great interview, Tyler. Appreciate it.